musicianship. Please put your hands together and welcome our entertainer. He will introduce himself to you.
Hey. I am Stephen Simpson, the singing pastor. So I think most pastors should sing, right?
Oh, yes.
But most of them don't have a guitar and come and sing with other people. So it was a Kentucky Derby just this past Saturday. Did anybody see the Kentucky Derby? Oh, you saw it. Do you know who won? Do you remember who won? It was a horse. Does anyone remember? Starts with an M. Do you remember? Mage. It was Mage. Yes. Mage won the race, and they didn't expect Mage to. The front runners didn't win. Last year, there was a race. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But let's just start with a song by Stephen Foster. He was the first great American songwriter. He wrote this song. Camptown ladies sing this song, doo-dah, doo-dah. Camptown racetrack 5 miles long, oh, doo-dah. Oh, you know all the verses. Gonna run all night, I bet my money on cocktail bags, somebody down the bay. All right, so even if you don't know the rest of it, you can always sing doo-dah, right? Doo-dah, doo-dah. I come down there with my hat caved in, doo-dah, doo-dah. Go back home with a pocket full of tin, oh, doo-dah. Gonna run all night, gonna run all day. I bet my money on the bobtail nag, somebody down the bay. So all the verses are about the race and what's going on. Long-tailed filly with a big black horse, doo-dah, doo-dah. They fly the track and they both cut across, oh, doo-dah. Blind horse sticking in an old mud hole, doo-dah, doo-dah. Can't touch the bottom with a 10-foot pole, oh, doo-dah. Gonna run all night, gonna run all day. I bet my money on the bobtail nag, somebody down the bay. Old muley cow come over the track, doo-dah, doo-dah. Bobtail fling her over his back, oh, doo-dah. Then fly around like a railroad car, doo-dah, doo-dah. Running a race with a shooting star, oh, doo-dah. Gonna run all night, gonna run all day. I bet my money on the bobtail nag, somebody down the bay. See them flying in the 10-mile heat, doo-dah, doo-dah. Racetrack, then repeat, oh, doo-dah. I win my money on the bobtail nag, doo-dah, doo-dah. And I keep my money in an old tote bag, oh, doo-dah. Gonna run all night, gonna run all day. I bet my money on the bobtail nag, somebody down the bay. Wow, we're off to a great start, and everything I heard about what a great audience you would be great. That song is 170 years old. Stephen Foster is the one who also wrote Beautiful Dreamer and Dream of Jeannie with light brown hair. We think he was writing about his wife, Jenny, when he wrote about Jeannie. And I'm going to do another song of his later. So that song was written in, the first song, his first big hit was Oh Susanna. Yeah. Oh Susanna, yes. Banjo on my knee. So even though that song is 170 years old, I have a song 1 year old that I wrote last year after the Kentucky Derby. It's the same tune, doo-dah, doo-dah, but it was about the race last year. There was a horse named Rich Strike. I want to think Strike It Rich, but it's Rich Strike. He was not supposed to win. He entered that the day before. Somebody canceled, and so they brought him in. He was 80-1 to lose, and he was way in the back, and he just surprised everyone. And as you listen to the announcer announce the race, he doesn't mention that horse until the last few moments. Like, Rich Strike coming up on the inside, and he just surprised everyone. So I wrote a verse about that horse. Churchill ladies sing this song, doo-dah, doo-dah. Churchill racetrack is 1 mile long, oh, doo-dah day. See that hill lady with a big pink hat, doo-dah. Oh, I messed up. Okay, I gotta try. I wanted to rhyme, so see the lady with a pink hat band, doo-dah, doo-dah. Cold mint julep in her hand, oh, doo-dah day. Gonna run all night, gonna run all day. Now listen, I bet my money on the chestnut foal. I'm gonna win today. one more verse. This is the race. Odds were set at 80 to 1. Do-da, do-da. Long shot pony thought he'd have some fun. No, do-da, day. Rich strike coming up on the inside. Do-da, do-da. Giving that jockey one heck of a ride. Oh, do-da, day. Gonna run all night. Gonna run all day. I bet my money on a chestnut colt. I'm gonna win today. I'll strike a rich today. I'm feeling lucky today. Ha-ha! So I will do songs about horses and about races and about Kentucky. Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that gone and proved untrue. Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gone and left me blue. It was on one moonlight night, the stars were shining bright, when they whispered from on high, your love had said goodbye. Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gone and said goodbye. Now that's a waltz, boom, chuck, chuck, boom. And it was written by Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass music. He wrote it in 1945, and about 10 years later, there was a young singer, young man, dark hair, and he had a pelvis. That's your hint. And he took this song from the country waltz and he made it into a rockabilly song. I say good moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gonna prove not true. I say blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gone left blue. It was on the moonlight night, the stars were shining bright, when they whispered from on high, your love said goodbye. I say good moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gone, proved untrue. So who would that be? Elvis sang that. So when Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass music, heard his version of it, you think he was happy about it? He was not. But then the royalties started coming in, and he decided he liked it a lot. And in fact, he changed the way he performed it. So from that time on, whenever he performed it, he'd start a Blue Moon of Kentucky, and then he'd go, I say good moon of Kentucky. So he changed it. It was a man who could go with the times. And he wrote another song, which is called the Kentucky Waltz. I think he wrote it, there's a Virginia waltz, and of course there's the Tennessee waltz, where I was dancing with my darling at the Tennessee waltz. Well, he wrote a Kentucky waltz. I love this one. It's one of my favorite waltzes. We were waltzing at night in Kentucky, beneath the beautiful harvest moon. And I was a boy who was lucky, but it all ended too soon. As I sit here alone in the moonlight, I can see your smiling face, and I long once more for your embrace and the beautiful Kentucky waltz. Let me try that again. You recognize that tune, right? Yes. It sounds better when it's done on a bugle or a trumpet. It is the call that is the racehorse called to the post. So that is what the trumpeter or the bugle player plays as the horses are just starting to arrive for the big race. 28 years ago, Steve Buttleman auditioned to be the new bugler. The last one, I think, for whatever reason, he retired. So this man auditioned and he got the part. And he has been the person that plays for the last 28 years. So probably most of the races that you've seen, he was the one playing it. And what does he wear? Red riding coat, black riding hat, the white breeches and the white boots, just like you would have worn in the 1800s on a fox hunt, on a fox chase. And that goes back to what people would have worn in the military. And the bugler would play da 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 da. They would play all the bugle calls that tell you it's time to eat, time to wake up, time to go to bed, taps, all those things that different bugle calls would let people know what to do. And the people that did fox hunts also needed to communicate over a long distance what was going on. So they developed bugle calls, and eventually this one became the one that's always used at the start of a race. And right after they played dun, 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 dun. After that, then the University of Louisville Marching Band, they've been doing this for over 60 years, they break into this song that I'm sure you know, and people will sing along. The sun shines bright on the old Kentucky home. 'Tis summer and people are gay. The corn tops ripe on the meadows in the bloom, while the birds make music all the day. The young folks roll on the little cabin floor, all merry, all happy and gay. By and by hard times come a-knocking at the door, and my old Kentucky home, good night. Weep no more, my lady. Weep no more, my lady. Oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for the old Kentucky home, then my old Kentucky home far away. That was beautiful singing. Thank you. Now that song was also written by Stephen Foster in the 1850s. Now he wrote some verses about black people, and he didn't use words that we would like to use today. And so this song became very controversial, and they thought, well, that's racist, we shouldn't sing it. And I appreciate that. And so the version I sang just says people and children instead of using some of the names that it used. However, I think he was writing about a black family that was in slavery, and some of the family members might have been sold off and had to go. And so this song was about, I'm gonna have to leave my home. So many people have sung this not knowing that it's maybe about a black family and what the pain they experienced. And it showed that even though he was a person of his times and he used some of the words that people used, he understood that no matter what your color, you have real feelings, and it's important to express that. And it's become a universal song. Would you sing the chorus with me again? Weep no more, my lady. Oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for the old Kentucky home, for the old Kentucky home far away. Thanks for singing that one with me. So I'm thinking of songs about horses, and I'm thinking of songs, well, I think I've done all my Kentucky songs, but I have a song about a horse race that took place in Kentucky. So this one hits on all the points that I want to hit on. And this is a traditional song from the 1800s, and it is about a real race that happened. Now, what sport do you think today has the most money involved in it?
Horse racing.
More than horses today. Gambling, yeah. I think football, the NFL, oh man, think of how much those players are getting, millions of dollars and everything. Well, there was a time when maybe baseball players were at the top. Before that, it was boxers. People bet on boxing all the time. And, you know, there was a lot of ethnic pride about that. If you were Italian and you lived near Irish immigrants and, you know, the Italian boxer was going to fight the Irish, you know, you want to bet on the guy that you know or that has a name that sounds familiar to you. And there was a lot of money. And those poor guys, they just got beat up a lot. But before boxing was the big money maker, it was horse racing. And in the 1800s, there was no sport as big as horse racing for capturing people's attention, making money, and getting people to bet. And there was a famous race. The two most successful horses up to that time, one was in, Memphis. He was in Memphis, Tennessee, and his name was Ten Brock. And he was winning every race. He was the best racehorse. But in California, there was a horse named Molly, a red mare, and she was winning everything. And people thought, if we can put them together, oh boy, what a race it will be and how much money we're going to make and how much people will bet. So they put Molly on a boxcar and they brought her to Kentucky for the race. It was before they called it the Kentucky Derby, but it was at Churchill Downs. And this song came out of it. Now, it is a fictionalized song, and here's how you know. There's a part where the horse Ten Brooks talks to Molly, and he starts talking trash to her. And then she starts talking trash back to him. And she says, "You're looking mighty squirrel." I don't know what squirrel means. I guess that meant something back in the day. This has some old-fashioned-y language in it, but it's a lot of fun. It's a race song. Run, Molly, run, run, Molly, run. Ten Brooks gonna beat you in the bright shining sun. Bright shining sun, oh Lord, bright shining sun. Ten Brooks was a big bay horse, he wore the shaggy mane. Ran around Memphis, he beat the Memphis train. Beat the Memphis train, oh Lord, beat the Memphis train. See the train a-comin', it's coming round the curve. See old Ten Brooks straining, he's straining every nerve. Straining every nerve, oh Lord, straining every nerve. Ten Brooks says to Molly, "What makes your head so red?" She says, "Running in the hot sun with fever in my head." Fever in my head, oh Lord, fever in my head. Then Molly says to Ten Brooks, "You're looking mighty squirrel." Ten Brooks says to Molly, "I'm leaving this old world." Leaving this old world, oh Lord, leaving this old world. Now we're going to get the jockey into it. His name is Kuiper. Kuiper, Kuiper, you're not a running ride. Molly's beating Ten Brooks clean out of sight. How about that? Clean out of sight, dear Lord. Clean out of sight. Kuiper, 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 my son. Give Ten Brooks the bridle. Let the old boy run. Let the old boy run, oh Lord. Let the old boy run. Out in California, Molly does just as she pleased. Here in old Kentucky, she got beat with all ease. How about that? Beat with all ease. Oh Lord, beat with all ease. Women's are a-laughing, children's are a-crying. Men folks hollering, see old Ten Brooks flying. See old Ten Brooks flying, oh Lord, see old Ten Brooks flying. We'll go and catch old Ten Brooks, hitch him in the shade. We're gonna bury Molly in a coffin ready-made. Coffin ready-made, oh Lord, coffin ready-made. Here they come. Let old Ten Brooks run, oh Lord, let old Ten Brooks run. That's your racehorse song about Molly and Ten Brooks. I don't think she really died at the end of it, but that made for a good story that she ran so hard as she ran to death. And they had to bury her in what? A coffin? A ready-made coffin, I guess. Do they make ready-made coffins for horses? I don't think so, but it sounds good in the song. Well, a completely different feel for a song. This one is a slow ballad. Maybe the other one was a ballad, but you know, Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass music, he took that song, he made it a bluegrass song, so that's why I sing it fast. But there's a song that's even older. This will be the oldest song I'll sing today. It is about a horse born in 1741. in England. He was the best racehorse of his day and raced for years in England and in Ireland. He was always winning. And the song was called Skewball, and it was written a few years after. So, these races just captured everybody's attention. And so they would sing about it. They'd make up songs. And then...
was Skewball the same as Stewball?
That's exactly right. I'm glad you said that. The song came to the United States in a songbook in 1829, published in Connecticut, and it got changed from Skewball to Stewball. And then people started making up their own verses. They didn't know the places in England and Ireland, so some people had verses about them racing in Texas or Kentucky or California. And there's some things that sound kind of similar to the other song, where you talk about betting on the bay, and it sounds good. It's easier to say betting on the bay than yay, Rich Strike, who won the Kentucky Derby last year. Bet on the bay. So this song ended up becoming a folk song too. Peter, Paul and Mary and the Weavers and some others did this song. Stewball was a racehorse, and I wish he were mine. You know what he's gonna drink. He never drank water. He always drank wine. His bridle was silver. His mane it was gold. And the worth of his saddle has never been told. Oh, the fairgrounds were crowded, and Stewball was there, but the betting was heavy on the bay and the mare. And away up yonder, ahead of them all, and prancing and dancing, my noble Stewball. I bet on the gray mare, I bet on the bay. If I bet on Stewball, I'd be a free man today. Oh, the hoot owl she hollers, and the turtle dove knows I'm a poor boy in trouble. I'm a long way from home. Now Stewball was a racehorse, and I wish he were mine. She never drank water. Everybody. He always drank wine. Oh, horse that drinks water. I don't get that. Okay, so we've mentioned, let me see, the mare and the bay, and I think I said chestnut when I did the song about Rich Strike. What are some other colorings of horse? First of all, what's bay? Does anyone know what bay means for horse? It's a specific coloring. It can be brown, it can be light brown, dark brown, medium brown, but then the mane and tail are dark, usually black. And it's a neat looking color. That's what a bay is. A chestnut horse is a shade of brown, can be dark or light, but the mane and tail are not darker. They're either the same color or lighter. Okay, that's kind of interesting. What are some other color horses that you've seen? White spotted, the Appaloosa, that's right. And, there's one, they call it primitive markings. A dun horse, D-U-N, would be sand colored, and it would have a black tail and mane, and black stockings, meaning the bottoms of its feet are dark. They might even have zebra stripings, and then it has a black dorsal stripe. Dorsal. You know what that is? It's right down the middle of the back. And I remember in my family, we had a horse that had that dorsal stripe right down the middle of the back. And I'm going to tell about a horse I had in just a little bit. But did any of you have a horse? I asked you at the beginning if you had a horse. Do you remember the name of the horse?
I had lots of horses.
You had lots of horses, Pat? Give us a couple names of your horses.
Rocky Dodge, she won the championship in open jumping.
Rocky Dodge, an open jumping winner.
She's a quarter horse.
Quarter horse, good, okay.
Yeah. And, oh my gosh. I can't remember.
That's okay. So my grandfather had Morgan horses, and they're beautiful. He had one that was black, and actually a pure black horse is pretty rare because not only do they have black coat and tail and mane, but their skin is also black. He had one that was blacker than black. He named her Silhouette. Isn't that a great name? And then her nickname for Silhouette was Jet.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect name for a black horse. She was a good horse, I remember. So I'm going to sing. Okay, this one, we don't know her name, but we know her color. So you know that a stallion is a male horse, and if a male horse has been altered, what do we call them? Gelding. A gelding, yeah. Yeah, that's what you call horses. That is different with different animals. But I think you all know what you call a female horse. A mare, right. Okay, so here's a horse of a certain gender and a certain color. See if you know this one. The old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be, ain't what she used to be, ain't what she used to be. The old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be many long years ago. Many long years ago, many long years ago. The old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be many long years ago. Now there's another verse to that about a whiffle tree. What in the world is a whiffle tree? A whiffle tree is sort of the part of the apparatus when a horse is pulling a cart or a wagon or buggy. So you have the cart, you have the wooden part, and then you have the harness, which is the leather part. The whiffle tree are the pieces of wood with rings on them that one end, the middle attaches to the wagon, and then the outside ones attach to the straps that are part of the harness. And it's a very simple contraption, but a long time ago they figured out that if you put that on horses that are pulling together, then they're both pulling. It won't be just one of them doing all the work. In fact, it can work with 3 and it can work with 4 whiffle trees. So there's another verse. The old gray mare, she kicked at the whiffle tree, kicked at the whiffle tree, kicked at the whiffle tree. Old gray mare, sheep's on the whiffle tree many long years ago. So I was reading about that, and someone said, yeah, that's probably more true. They're on the whiffle tree, but you have to clean it up later on. So this is one of those songs where it's so simple that it can be redone in different ways. Now, here's a satirical verse. The old gray mare is out of the stable now, out of the stable now. She's onto the table now, old gray mare. She's out of the stable now. Blue plate platter special. Oh, poor gray mare. I have a happier one after that. But first I want to tell you, so where did the song come from? There was a whole theory that it was about a racehorse named Lady Suffolk. She was gray, she was a mare, and she was 10 years old when she won in a trotting race. So she's pulling a sulky. And on the 4th of July in 1843. So horse racing really does go back for a long time. And they thought this song must be about her. She's old and she's gray, but she won. Well, then she should be faster. Turns out that was a conjecture. That was a theory, and it wasn't true. The song was actually born, not as a children's song either. It was a campaign ditty. In Baltimore, there was a mayor who had served 8 terms, and no one could seem to beat him. Finally, the contender that was his rival made up the song, The Old Gray Mare, as in the mayor of Baltimore. He ain't what he used to be, and maybe it's time to replace him. And that's where we got the song. Well, there was a singer named Carson Robinson who recorded a song in the 40s who took a different approach. about what she used to be, and she's back where she used to be because automobiles were starting to take the place of horses, and there was kind of a rivalry. Which one is better? And he had a verse about a dumb old farmer that would just stand there with his old dumb horse on the side of the road where he knew people would run out of gas, and sooner or later, "Oh, sir, could you help me?" "Sure, for $2, I'll haul you back." So he made a lot of money doing that. And so here's the final verse of that funny version of this song. "The old gray mare is back where she used to be, back where she used to be, back where she used to be. Old gray mare is back where she used to be many long years ago. She may be old and lean, but she don't need gasoline. She flicks her tail at the Ford and the Cadillac, kicks at the Pontiac, acts like a jumping jack. The old gray mare is back where she used to be many long years ago." There's another song about, thank you. You're a great audience. Okay. Anyone ever heard of Jimmy Driftwood? He was a school teacher in the 40s and 50s, and he wrote, "In 1814 we took a little trip, along with Colonel Jackson down to Midas." So he wrote that. I'm not going to sing that one, but he wrote that one for his students to try to teach them about the War of 1812. And then his career started picking up as they realized some of his teaching songs were fun songs. And this is one of them. It's about a horse. It's about the Tennessee Stud. And he has a very rare coloring. It's called Cremona. And it's almost golden with very light flax, kind of like Palomino. And a Cremona horse would have green eyes. I thought this was a made-up song, but actually that it's a very rare color. And he calls it the Tennessee Stud. And my favorite version of it was sung by a blind guitarist singer named Doc Watson. Has anyone ever heard of Doc Watson? You've heard of him? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, he was a real singer, yeah. And he would have been 100 this year. Along about 1825, I left Tennessee very much alive. I never would have made it through the Arkansas mud if I hadn't been riding the Tennessee Stud. Had some trouble with my sweetheart's paw. One of her brothers was a bad outlaw. I sent her a letter by my Uncle Fudd, and I rode away on the Tennessee Stud. Tennessee Stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee Stud. We drifted on down into no man's land, crossed the river called the Rio Grande. I raced my horse with the Spaniards full till I got a skin full of silver and gold. Me and the gambler, we couldn't agree. We got in a fight over Tennessee. We jerked our guns and he fell with a thud, and I got away on the Tennessee Stud. Tennessee Stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee Stud. I got just as lonesome as a man can be, dreaming of my girl in Tennessee. The Tennessee Stud, green eyes turned blue, cause he was waiting for a sweet mare too. We looked right back across Arkansas. I whooped her brother and I whooped her paw. I found that girl with the golden hair, and she was riding a Tennessee mare. Tennessee Stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee Stud. Stir up, side by side, we crossed the mountains and the valleys wide. We came to Big Muddy and we forded the flood on the Tennessee mare and Tennessee Stud. Pretty little baby on the cabin floor, a little horse colt playing round the door. I love that girl with the golden hair, and the Tennessee Stud loves the Tennessee mare. Tennessee Stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee Stud. No, there never was a horse like the Tennessee Stud. We never learned his name, do we? Thank you. We don't learn the name of that Tennessee Stud. In fact, it reminds me of a song of a horse with no name. Then through the desert on a horse with no name. Felt good to get out of the rain. In the desert, I can't remember your name, for there ain't no one for to fix you no pain. Well, you remember that one. That was by the band America in the 1970s. I try to keep my songs to the 1870s, so I won't sing that whole song. However, I do have a song about myself growing up in the 1970s. And this is a song about a railroad station, but it's also about my horse. Let me explain. So when I was young, my parents got me a horse, and I named him Lightning. So what would you think if a horse is named Lightning? What would you guess about that horse? Fast. Yeah, he was not. He was not fast at all. He was a very slow, safe horse for a little boy. And then I became a big gangly teenager, and I still had this slow horse. But I got into horses when I was young, and like I said, my grandfather had Morgan horses, and one of my favorite places to go was the saddle shop in my hometown. And it was in a repurposed railroad station. So in my town, there were train tracks that went through, and now it was only freight trains. There were no passenger trains, so there was no need to have a train station or a depot. So a family bought it, and they turned it into a store where they sold saddles and bridles and all those things that horses need. And I loved going there. For me, it was like going into a candy store, and even better. How many of you have been in a tack shop or a saddle store or saddle? Of course you have. When you open the door, what's the first thing that you notice? The smell of leather, yes. The smell of leather just hits you. It feels so rich. I just love that smell. I still can smell it now thinking about this. So I wrote a song about it was called the Depot Saddlery. And when for a while I used to think that, oh, where do you get depot saddles? But it's not a kind of saddle, it's just the name of that store. Saturdays with Daddy, met errands on the town, riding in his pickup truck, track some items down. Like gas to fill the tractor, baling twine and more. And if this boy was lucky, we'd stop by my favorite store. Take me to the depot saddlery, with bridle bits and curry combs, a magic place for me. With those cowboy hats to try on, fancy buckles for your belt. What I best remember is just how those saddles smelt. I love it. Well, my old horse was Lightning, as you know, with golden tail and mane. People called him lazy, and I loved him just the same. At the depot was this saddle, just as fine as it could be. If I bought Lightning that cool saddle, oh, what a pair we'd be. Take me to the depot saddlery, with bridle bits and curry combs. It was a magic place for me, with those cowboy hats to try on, and I did what I best remember is just how those saddles smelt. Well, the depot's now a health food store. New signs on the lawn. Not a trace of leather smell. Those saddles are all gone. I guess some things aren't meant to last, like riding on a train. Place they built to sell you tickets now sells quinoa and whole grain. Take me to the depot saddlery, with bridle bits and curry combs. Some magic place for me, with those fancy cowboy hats to try on, fancy buckles for your belts. What I best remember is just how those saddles smell. Yes, what I best remember is just how those saddles smell. That was the Depot Saddlery. Let me tell you the end of the story. It is no longer a health food store either. It is now a dentist's office. And my mom gets her teeth cleaned at the Depot Dentistry now. Oh, it's okay. It's a beautiful building, so somebody's going to make some good use of it. So I did not grow up listening to this goofy show, but maybe you know this song. A horse is a horse, of course, and no one to talk to a horse, of course, unless it is, of course, the horse, the famous Mr. Ed. Go right to the source and ask the horse, he'll give you the answer you'll endorse. He'll always be on a steady course. Talk to Mr. Ed. People yakety yak a streak and waste your time a day. But Mr. Ed will never speak unless he has something to say. A horse is a horse, of course, and this one will talk till his voice is hoarse. You'll never heard of a talking horse? Well, listen to this. I am Mr. Ed. I think the song is about all that show was good for. What a goofy show, wasn't it?
No, it was great.
You liked it, okay. All right. It says something. This is more about you than you might want me to know. So I was older when I was seeing the reruns, and I thought, why did people watch this silly show? So I've shared my Kentucky songs. I'm all out of them. I shared my racing songs. I'm all out of them. I shared my horse name songs. So I'm now going to go into my cowboy songs. You mind if I do some cowboy songs just for fun?
Oh, yeah.
I'm back in the saddle again, out where a friend is a friend, where the long hemp feed on the lowly chips and weed. I'm back in the saddle again, riding the range once more. What you toting? I'm toting my old 44, where you sleep out every night and the only law is right. I'm back in the saddle again. Whoopee-tie-I-O, rocking to and fro. Back in the saddle again. Whoopee-tie-I-A, I go my way. Back in the saddle again. Whoopee-tie-I-O, rocking to and fro. Back in the saddle again. Whoopee-tie-I-A, I go my way. Back in the saddle again. Back in the saddle again. There we go. Oh, I knew I could get you all singing on that one. That's good. So that song was voted by the Western Writers of America in 2010. They ranked what they thought were their top 100 Western songs of all time. Western, not necessarily cowboy, but most of them are cowboy songs. And that was ranked number 5. It was Gene Autry. Gene Autry made it famous. He didn't write it. And there's another song, and so I told you I said all my horse songs. I have a mule song. And the mule has a name. And the mule is named Dan. No, not Daisy. So you said that your family had a horse?
No, but
No?
my husband and I traveled and we ate breakfast with the horses coming right to us. with the window.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So this song, it's about mirages and about being thirsty. Sons of the Pioneers sang it. You're going to know this one. All day I face a barren waste without a taste of water. What kind of water? Cool water. Here's the mule. Oh, Dan and I, with throats burned dry and souls that cry for water. This was his mule that he's singing to. Keep a moving, Dan, don't you listen to him, Dan. He's a devil, not a man, and he spreads the burning sand with water. It's the mirage he's talking about. Oh, Dan, can you see that big green tree where the water's running free and it's waiting there for you and me? The nights are cool and I'm a fool. Each star is a pool of water, cool water. With the dawn I'll wake and yawn and carry on for water, clear water. I wish there were more harmony singers. Keep a moving, Dan, don't you listen to him, Dan. He's a devil, not a man, and he spreads the burning sand with water, water. Dan, can you see that big green tree where the water's running free and it's waiting there for you and me? The shadows sway and seem to say, tonight we pray for water, cool water. Way up there, he'll hear our prayer and show us where there's water, water, cool, clear water. By the way, thank you so much. By the way, if you feel moved to do a coyote call anytime during the next couple songs, that would be just fine with me. So that song, voted by the Western Writers of America, that was a number 3 song. Do you want to hear the number 1 song?
Yes.
Okay. The number 1 song is one of my favorites, and it reminds me, it is a cowboy version of A Christmas Carol. Now, A Christmas Carol is the story about Ebenezer Scrooge. And you remember, before he gets visited by the spirits, he goes home and the ghost of his old business partner, Jacob Marley, is there rattling his chains. And he says something, link by link, I created these or made this chain. And when I died 7 years ago, it was just, yours was just as long, now yours is longer. Well, that's the worst news you can tell someone, and Ebenezer doesn't know what to do. And basically, Jacob says he better change his ways. Well, we're going to have the cowboy version of a better change your ways, or you're going to have hell to pay. And it comes with this. Oh, you know it's sad when it's a minor key like this. An old cowpoke went riding out one dark and windy day. I'm going to take it up 1/2 step more. An old cowpoke went riding out one dark and shiny day. Upon a ridge he rested as he went along his way. And all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw, plowing through the ragged skies and up a cloudy draw. Their brands were still on fire and their hooves were made of steel. Their horns were black and shiny and their hot breath he could feel. A bolt of fear went through him as they thundered through the sky, for he saw the riders coming hard, and he heard their mournful cry. Their eyes were blurred, their shirts all soaked with sweat. They're riding hard to catch the herd, but they ain't caught 'em yet. They've got to ride forever in that range up in the sky, on horses snorting fire. As they ride, I hear their cry. Yippee-yay, yippee-yi-yay. As the riders rode on by him, he heard one call his name. If you want to save your soul from hell and ride it on this range, then cowboy, better change your ways, or today you will ride, trying to catch the devil's herd across these endless skies. The sky. You're right in front of the speaker there, right? Riders in the sky. One more time, everybody together. Striders in the sky. I'm trying to see the clock here. I think I have just a few more minutes. So, you know, when we sing a song about you have to ride the devil's herd, I need some grace.
You have a few more hours.
So I always want to bring Jesus into it. So would you sing Jesus Loves Me with me if you know it? Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. You know it, don't you? Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. Oh, great singing, great singing. Well, is anyone discouraged?
No.
Why should I be discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, my constant friend is he. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Why do you sing? I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Let not your hearts be troubled. His tender word I hear, and resting on his goodness, I lose my doubts and fears. Though by the path he leadeth, but one step I may see. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Why do you sing? I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Whenever I am tempted, whenever clouds arise, when songs give place to sighing, when hope within me dies, I draw the closer to him, from there he sets me free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Watches you. Watches you. That's true. That's true. Can someone tell me what time it is? I can't quite see it from over here.
22 after 4.
All right, that gives me 5 minutes. So, all right. I'm weak, but he's strong. I am weak, but he is strong. Jesus, keep me from all wrong. Jesus, keep me from all wrong. I'll be satisfied as long. I'll be satisfied as long as I walk. Let me walk. As I Just a closer walk with thee. Granted, Jesus is my plea. Granted, Jesus is my plea. Daily walking close. Daily walking close to thee. Let it be. Let it be. Dear Lord, let it be. Through this world of toils and snares. Through this world of toils and snares. If I falter, Lord, who cares? If I falter, Lord, who cares? Who but with me? Who with me? My burden share, my burden. Let me try that again. Who with me, my burden shares? Who with me, my burden shares? None but thee, dear Lord. None but thee. Just a closer walk with thee. Just a closer walk with thee. Granted, Jesus is my plea. Daily walking close to thee. Let it be, dear Lord, let it be. When my feeble life is over, when my feeble life is over, time for me will be no more. Time for me will be no more. Guide me gently, safely. Guide me gently, safely, oh, to thy kingdom shore, to thy shore. Last time, just a closer walk. Just a closer walk. Just a walk, just a closer walk. And Jesus is my plea. Daily walking close to thee. None but thee, dear Lord. None but thee, dear Lord. None but thee, dear Lord. Let it be. So let me finish with this short song. This was number 22 in the top 100 Western songs. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling on to them. Who cares? Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again. God bless you. I'm Pastor Stephen, the singing pastor. What a joy to share these songs with you and to have you share them back with me. How fun.
Okay, let's give him another hand. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
That was wonderful, thank you.
I hope I can come back again. Do you want me to come back sometime? All right, so is Amy here?
Yes.
So she's the one that can control. So tell Amy that you want me to come back.
Running back.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Well, now I've got to pack up. It's going to take a little while, okay?
Okay. And we had 2 horses looking in the wind this place was full. It had a lot of stalls in there. Yeah, so I wanted to, we had 2 right in the wind. They wanted that food. So I'm so glad my husband
much. Thank you.